Hello, Humphreys Fellows friends, Kate here for our last video. And this is going to be the reflection on how we can take art and our breath and meditation practice and put them together to have a creative expression. And these creative expressions are good for focus, they're good for reflection about how you're feeling, and they're also good as relaxation techniques. If you remember from when I visited the last time, we did the blind contour drawing, which was when we were doing our hand and just doing the outside the contour, which would be the outer edge and the little knuckles and everything. And we were just looking at the hand and not at the paper. And for that, I would actually recommend that you maybe look around your space. If you have a plant, and this will be the plant that I'm going to use, maybe you want to use a plant. So that's one thing you'll need, is an object that you're going to do your blind contour drawing with. It could also be a shell, something that you like. Maybe it's something that you have brought with you. And then you're also going to need pencil for that breath practice where we were doing the continuous line. Remember that. So you'll want a pencil. And then our last practice will be new. And for that, it's going to be our art as communication. And you'll want a rainbow of colors. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, pink, and purple. 7 colors. So go ahead and grab your markers, and maybe you're using colored pencils. But get your art making materials together, your object, and I'll break this into 3 parts. The first part will be review of our breath drawing. Okay, for the breath drawing, you'll see that you're just looking at my paper and pencil. And I'll ask you to find a comfortable seat, whether you want to be in a chair or if you want to be on the ground. Just listening to my voice, you don't necessarily need to look up at any time. Once you've gotten comfortable in your seat, we'll start the meditation. Placing your pen or pencil on the paper or next to the paper might be a good place. And we'll start with the sensations in your feet. So you could go ahead and close your eyes now, or just create a soft gaze. And as you inhale, notice the heaviness of the feet, any pressure on the feet through socks or shoes. Making sure that both feet are touching the floor. And with your inhale, just bring soft awareness or noticing from the soles of the feet up the legs. And as you exhale, you can soften that awareness, feeling heavier in the feet. Maybe let the muscles be a little bit softer. We'll continue to work up the body. Inhaling, bringing awareness from the feet up the legs to the hips. And just notice and feel your bottom on the chair or floor or wherever you are. And as you exhale, soften the hips and the bottom, the thighs, the legs, the feet. And then we'll bring another breath of awareness up to the shoulders. And feel the chest expand. Maybe the belly gets a little bigger and the shoulders rise as you inhale and exhale, soften. Take 3 more breaths. Just bringing that awareness, noticing up the body as you inhale, exhale. Let the body soften and relax. See if you can breathe in a little bit more deeply on this next inhale. Feeling the chest and the back side of the body, and exhale, see if you can become a little softer. 1 more breath like that. And then with your eyes closed or a soft focus, you can go ahead and pick up your pencil. And before we even put the pencil onto the page, you're just going to feel the pencil, the weight of the pencil. Maybe notice where the tip is and the eraser, the ends. If it's smooth or there are lines or edges. And then you could switch your pencil to your other hand. And just weighting the pencil like it's a new object that you've never touched before, something to be explored. And with the end of the pencil, just let the pencil touch your paper. Starting with an inhale, allow your pencil to drift across the page. And exhale, keeping the point of the pencil on your page. Just use soft breaths and let the pencil travel wherever the breath takes it. Maybe nice big inhales, exhales. And see if, while you're moving the pencil, you can continue to draw a line in different ways. So if you've been going up and down, maybe try a circle or a sharp line. You'll pause and switch hands. Just inhaling and exhaling, letting the pencil drift in its own way. Maybe you want to use both hands for a moment. And we'll just take 3 more breaths. And it's okay if your pencil has come off of the page. Another inhale and exhale. 1 more inhale and exhale. Let the pencil drop down. Take your hand away and just look at what you've made. If you wanted to, you could find some markers and then start to fill in all of these loops in a way that's pleasing to you. So maybe enjoy finding different places to fill in with different colors. I'm just starting with 1 color. You could also maybe follow some of these lines with another color. And that might look kind of neat to you. And spend some time discovering a way to turn this few moments of breath awareness and body connection into a creative restful piece of art. And of course you could go along the outside edge if you wanted to fill in on the outside edge instead and see how that looks. If you had your watercolors, it might be fun to use watercolor instead. So it becomes more like a painting. And whatever stuff you have around, just turn it into something fun for yourself. So that was our breath continuous line drawing. All right, so I hope you enjoyed continuous line drawing and you're finding new creative ways to use that. If you don't want to fill it in, don't worry about filling it in. It's your artwork. Our second practice is the blind contour drawing. So I have my work here, my spiky plant, and I'll put it up here. You may or may not be able to really see that, it's okay. But that's going to be my object of focus. For this, you'll also want just paper and pencil, and I'm going to demonstrate seated for this one. So this was where we were doing the outlines. And for me, what I like to do is I like to close one eye and just start by kind of finding where those outlines are. And while I'm finding that, I'm noticing different aspects of my plant. For instance, I'm noticing that the plant is very spiky and has sharp edges. I'm noticing that there are some lighter parts, there are some darker parts, there's some part of this plant where it looks like it's kind of coming apart a little bit. So that when I do my blind contour drawing, I'm really looking at the teeny tiny aspects of the plant or whatever object it is you're looking at. That's why I kind of ran my finger along the outside first. Now, since I've got my plant in a pot, I'll probably add in the pot as well. So that's kind of fun to play with what those two shapes will look like. Okay, so once you have your object, go ahead, put it out in front. Take a moment to draw in the air, following the outline of your object. And then, without looking at the page, now we'll do something similar to that blind, to the continuous line drawing, is that we're going to keep the pencil on the page in that same way, but we're not going to look at the paper. And I'm going to start with the outer edge of the pot. And then I'm following the edges of my plant. And as I follow the edges of my plant with my eyes, that's what I'm drawing. I'm going from one side to the other. It doesn't have to be in a particular sequence. And with this plant, it's kind of neat because all of these spikes cross over one another. And they're all at different angles. Now I also want to be sure that I'm getting in the features. If there's a divot. I've gone back to the pot. So now I'm looking at the pot. And I'm completed my drawing. It's really not much to look at. It seems to me like maybe I lost some connection with the pencil and the page at some point. Well, you can repeat what we did with the contour, with the line drawing, and feel free to color in the different parts of the plant or whatever it was you had. If you remember, we did our hand as well, so that could be a fun second thing to do or another time. And this was a lesson that we're doing for focus. So you're really able to focus on small details. I would suggest using this art practice in the middle of the day if you seem like you're getting up and getting lots of snacks or something like that, your mind is feeling a little wandering around, then just take, what was that, 4 or 5 minutes to draw something in your space. So another thing I could have picked was my shell, and the shell also has got smooth and it's a bit smaller, so I'll just do the shell real quick as well. And this time I'm going to use the colored pencil that's similar to the shell color. So I got a brown colored pencil. And I'm going to look at it. I'm going to keep my focus on my shell. And for this one, I'm going to start at one end. Here I'm looking at all of the nubs. Still just focusing on my object, because the product of your art or whatever you're putting on the page, it's all fine and dandy, it's nice, but we're really using this time to notice and become aware of the smaller details. Like I said, creating focus. So here's my shell with that one continuous line and my blind contour drawing. So for the third practice, this is where you're going to need your rainbow of colors. And this practice is also about gratitude. So it'll be a little bit longer. Make sure that you've got a pencil and your colored pencils and a rainbow, and we'll move on to our third and final art practice. All right, so this longer practice is about communicating how you're feeling as a art practice, rather than needing to write, I feel sad, or I feel worried, or I feel happy. We're going to use this art practice as a way of showing yourself, and maybe you want to use it in communication with someone else. This is doesn't need a particular language. It doesn't need necessarily any real identifiers except for yourself. So you'll know what it means, and someone else might just end up looking at your artwork and thinking it looks cool. Well, I've asked you to gather your rainbow of colors, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, pink, and purple. And each one of these colors is going to represent a feeling or emotion. And here's the guide. I've written this one up, but maybe you want to make one for yourself. So in this guide, and I'll put this in the notes as well, in our notes here, each color represents a different emotion. So you could look at that for a moment, and I'll go through them. The first one is our color green. And the color green is going to represent that you're feeling well, you feel healthy, and you feel good, and you feel safe. So our color green is going to represent feeling well, healthy, good, and safe. The next color is blue. And blue is representing I'm feeling sad or worried sometimes. Maybe not all the time, but sometimes you're having feelings of being worried or sad, and so that will be our color blue. And you'll use the color blue to represent feeling sad or a little worried. Orange, worried about being sick or worried about feeling unwell. So if that's something you're thinking about a whole lot, if you're really anxious, really feeling very concerned about becoming sick or unwell yourself, then we're going to use orange to represent that feeling. Purple is that you're worried that that you won't have enough food, or maybe you don't have enough money, enough finances. So that's what purple is going to represent. Pink is that you're having lots of concern about your family or lots of concern about friends. That's something that you've been thinking about a whole lot. And so we'll use pink to represent that emotion. Red, maybe there's something that I haven't thought of, something that's coming up for you that you've been really worried about. Something that makes you feel anxious. And we're going to use yellow to represent that you're having a hard time and that maybe it's time to ask someone for help. So this is your way of communicating to yourself if you're thinking, man, I really need some support and I didn't know before now, or just a way of communicating that with yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to use all of these. You've got the key here. And we're going to make our artwork with them. So you'll pick up a piece of paper, and all you're going to do is just draw circles. Like I said, we'll use our key here, each color meaning something different. If it's a big feeling, you'll draw a big circle with that color. If it's a little feeling, you'll draw a little circle with that color. So go ahead. For myself, I've been feeling pretty well. I feel pretty good, pretty safe. Things seem to be going pretty okay for me most of the time, so I'm taking my green and making big circles on my page. So I've made just a collection of bigger green circles to show I'm doing pretty okay. Blue, feeling sad or worried sometimes. I do get some worries. So I'm going to make some medium-sized circles that are representing some of the worries that I have that come up. Anxious about becoming sick or unwell. I don't have a whole lot of anxiety for myself about becoming sick or unwell, so I'm not going to use orange for mine. Worried about not enough food or finances. I'll say, that money can be a concern for me, so I'm going to draw some of use purple to represent that, sometimes I don't feel like we have enough money. I'm making some purple circles on my page. Feeling worried about family or friends. I feel pretty concerned about some family that is not here in our community, where we've got lots of well people. They're in a community with not a lot of well people, and my family has some already undergoing some sickness, so I've got a lot of kind of a lot of concern about other people becoming sick or unwell. So I'm using my pink, and I've drawn quite a few of those pink circles. Am I feeling anxious about anything else? Not really. If I was feeling anxious about something else, I would use my red. And lastly, yellow would represent that I'm really struggling and I know that I need to reach out for help. I feel pretty okay, so I'm not going to use the yellow, but I encourage you to use those colors if they speak to you. So here's what my page for today looks like. I've got representation of how I'm feeling, and that's today. It could change tomorrow. So here's where we get to turn everything upside down, all right? I've communicated that with myself. Maybe you want to show this to someone else. Now, we're going to bring in our gratitude. So I would encourage you to even write down things that you're grateful for. You could take another piece of paper or use the back side. If you've written down your key here, could use the back side. And I'll read to you some things I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for family, school, friends, my pets, outside time. I'm grateful for reading. I'm grateful for gummy bears and games, yummy food, sleeping, making art, sunshine, bike rides, creative movement, my teachers, free time, birds, learning something new, and music. So those were the things I was grateful for. And coming up with maybe 8 to 10 things that you're grateful for and writing them down. And what we're going to do next is we're going to take our bubbles and we're going to take maybe a different color or your pencil, and we're going to fill in our bubbles with things that we're grateful for. So I'm going to turn this big maybe worry about my parents being somewhere else into being grateful for my pets, or worry about something else. I'm going to write in there, I'm grateful for sunshine. Another worry I had, I'm going to fill in with being grateful for sleep or rest or time to rest. Or another one, teachers. But take your time, and I'm going to show you one that I did a while ago that has lots of bubbles filled in. And here's my one from today. This one you can't really see what I'm grateful for. So bubbles filled in. And there we go. That is combining some art with gratitude. And we have our key. Now, another way you could do this is, rather than drawing bubbles, that I decided one day to just make some washing with the brush or with my markers. So I ended up filling up my whole page, and that looks a little bit different. And I used some tape. You can see the circles there. So there are a couple of options. Thank you so much. I hope that you enjoyed this and that you'll use these art gratitude techniques for self-reflection, for focus, and for calming. It's been lovely to meet all of you, and good luck. Thanks for being here, and enriching my life with all of your different beautiful stories and lovely faces.